You know that feeling when everyone's asking when you're getting married and you smile, but inside there's this tiny voice whispering something's off. That voice might be saving your life. Because here's what nobody tells you. Love isn't enough, chemistry isn't compatibility, and butterflies aren't a marriage qualification. I'm about to give you the brutal checklist that could save you from decades of misery. Most people ignore these questions because they're uncomfortable. That's exactly why most people divorce. You're not cynical for having standards. You're smart and the questions feel harsh, but divorce feels a lot harsher. Let me tell you something that will change everything. Marriage doesn't fix problems, it reveals them. Under pressure, every little thing you're ignoring right now, it multiplies by 10% when you add mortgages and kids and sickness. So, here's the first question nobody wants to ask. Can you handle their worst day repeated for 40 years? Not their average day, their absolute worst. The day they're cruel. The day they shut down completely. The day they blame you for everything. Because that day will come back. Marriage guarantees it. You know what's actually crazy? We spend more time researching which phone to buy than who to legally bind our life to. We test drive cars but not communication styles. Under stress. Here's what's really happening. When people say, just follow your heart, they're setting you up for failure. Your heart lies. Your heart thinks attraction equals compatibility. Your heart mistakes intensity for intimacy. Don't fall for it. Question 2. Do they take responsibility or do they rewrite history? Listen to how they talk about their ex. Listen to how they describe past conflicts. If everything is always someone else's fault, that's you. In 5 years, they'll be telling their friends you're the crazy one. This is blame shifting disguised as storytelling. Watch for it everywhere. Do they own their mistakes or do they justify them? Do they apologize or do they explain why you're too sensitive? Here's the brutal truth. Someone who can't say I was wrong will never meet you halfway. Marriage is two people saying I was wrong about 5,000 times. But here's what nobody talks about. Financial compatibility matters more than sexual compatibility. I know that sounds unromantic, but you know what else is unromantic? Fighting about money at 2 a.m. while your kids sleep down the hall. Question 3. Can you have the money conversation without one of you shutting down? Do they hide purchases? Do they think budgets are controlling? Do their eyes glaze over when you mention retirement? These aren't small things. Money is the language of priorities. If they say things like, we'll figure it out, or money isn't everything, that's a red flag covered in glitter. Because money represents every value difference you have. Spending versus saving, security versus spontaneity, planning versus winging it. You're not materialistic for caring about this. You're protecting your future. Here's what's really happening. In successful marriages, two people with aligned values making boring decisions together. That's it. That's the secret. It's not passion. It's not soulmates. It's two people who agree on the boring stuff. Question 4. How do they treat people who can't do anything for them? Watch how they treat waiters. Watch how they talk about their parents. Watch how they respond when a homeless person asks for help. Because here's the thing. Kindness under pressure reveals character. Kindness when it's inconvenient reveals everything. Someone who's cruel to strangers is just waiting for the right moment to be cruel to you. Marriage gives them that moment when you're tired, when you're sick, when you need them and they're tired too. This is contempt disguised as humor. If they mock people weaker than them, they'll mock you when you're vulnerable. Don't fall for it. But here's what nobody wants to admit. You need to ask about kids before you're standing at an altar. Not just, do you want them? The real questions. How many? What if we can't have them? Who stays home? What if one of us changes our mind? Question 5. Have you had the brutal kid conversation? Because I'm telling you, right now, wanting kids and agreeing on how to raise them are completely different things. You might both want 2 kids, but one of you means private school and college funds, and the other means public school and figure it out. You know that feeling when someone says, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. That's not flexibility, that's avoidance. And avoidance doesn't disappear at the wedding. It compounds. Here's the brutal truth that will save your life. Compatibility isn't about having everything in common. It's about fighting fair when you have nothing in common. It's about disagreeing without contempt. Question 6. Can you fight without them going nuclear? Do they bring up old stuff? Do they threaten to leave? Do they give silent treatment for days? These aren't personality quirks. These are relationship killers. If they fight dirty while dating, marriage gives them heavier ammunition. They'll know exactly where your wounds are, and some people can't resist pressing on them. This is emotional warfare disguised as having joined the wedding, and walking away feels like admitting you were wrong about everything. So, you stay. You ignore. You explain. You wait for it to feel right. Don't fall for it. Here's what I need you to understand. Better to know now than discover in year 5. Better to feel stupid for a season than trapped for a lifetime. You know what's harder than breaking up? Co-parenting. With someone who makes your skin crawl. The questions feel harsh, but divorce feels harsher. Having standards doesn't make you difficult. It makes you someone who values their one life. You're not crazy for wanting answers before signing papers. You're awake, and being awake is the greatest gift you can give your future self. Listen, most people are out here marrying potential instead of reality. They're marrying the person they hope their partner becomes instead of who's standing in front of them right now. Here's the final truth that will change everything. Marry someone you'd want to be stuck in an airport with for 12 hours. Not the fantasy version, the real person, the one who's tired and hungry and hasn't showered. That person, because that's who you're actually marrying, the human, not the highlight. Real. You deserve someone who passes this checklist without you having to grade on a curve. You deserve someone where the answer to these questions is easy, not perfect, easy. And if you're sitting here realizing your person doesn't pass, that's not failure, that's information. And information is the only thing that sets you free. Drop a comment and tell me which question hit different. And if you're already married, tell us which questions you wished you had asked earlier, because I guarantee you're not the only one who needed to hear this. Share this with someone who's ignoring their gut right now. They'll thank you later. The truth is brutal, but staying in the wrong relationship is worse. You have one life. Choose wisely.